but distant, its meaning hidden behind form. It was only when they listened to the whisper of the forest, to the hum of the water and the call of the sky, that their vision changed. In that moment, they saw not with eyes, but with understanding. They realized that to see truly is not to separate, but to merge, to let awareness move freely between self and world. That vision, they say, was the gift of the ancients, the first ones who learned to surrender completely to Eywa, dissolving into her consciousness until their sight became hers. From then on, every generation carried a piece of that vision within them, the subtle knowing that every colour, every sound, every breath is seen. The Na'vi have a word for this awareness, Tihanu, which means both protection and perception. To see is to care, to witness is to preserve. They believe the ancients watch not to control, but to guard the memory of balance. When a tree falls, when an animal dies, when a storm rages, the ancients are present in all of it, absorbing, recording, transforming. Their sight keeps the pattern whole. At certain times of the year, when the suns and moons align just so, faint rings of light appear in the night sky. The Na'vi call them the eyes of Eywa, reflections of the ancients' gaze. During these nights, the world seems quieter. The air thickens with awareness. Even the smallest sounds, a leaf falling, a stream murmuring, feel magnified, sacred. The Na'vi gather in silence beneath the trees, letting the light fall across their faces. They believe that when the eyes shine above, the boundaries between life and memory blur, and Eywa herself listens more closely. But the eyes of the ancients are not confined to the heavens. The Na'vi say they exist within every being, within the gaze of the animals, within the shimmer of dew, within the reflection of the river at dawn. When one looks deeply into another's eyes, they see not a person, but a continuation. The light that fills those eyes is ancient light, passed from countless lives before. Every glance is inheritance, every reflection, a reminder that awareness is shared. To honour this truth, the Na'vi perform a ritual known as Kame Tireya, seeing the life. In it, two beings sit opposite one another, beneath the forest's glow, their eyes meeting without words. They breathe in rhythm, allowing their awareness to merge, their pulses to align. For a few moments, individuality dissolves, and they see each other as Eywa sees, not as separate forms, but as one field of being reflecting itself. The elders teach that in this ritual, one understands the true meaning of compassion, to see and to be seen as part of the same light. The ancients guide through this seeing. They do not speak or intervene directly, but their presence shapes intuition. A Na'vi hunter may pause before taking aim, sensing something, a quiet hesitation, a whisper of awareness that tells him to wait. Later, he discovers the creature was carrying young. The ancients do not command, they remind. They nudge memory awake. Some among the Na'vi, the seers, dedicate their lives to deep communion with these ancestral eyes. They journey to the sacred groves, fasting and meditating for days beneath the glowing roots, waiting for the moment when vision shifts. When they finally open their eyes, they describe seeing the world as woven light, threads connecting every living being, patterns of motion so intricate they shimmer like breath made visible. They return changed, their eyes brighter, their movements slower, as though listening to something no one else can hear. They teach that the eyes of the ancients are not separate from the present. The ancestors are not behind us. They are within us, perceiving the world anew through each living form. Every action is their continuation. Every kindness, every discovery, every song extends their seeing further into creation. The Na'vi call this the gift of returned sight, the understanding that we are both the dreamers and the dreamed. Even the stars carry their gaze. The Na'vi believe the ancients travel as light, crossing the skies, visiting worlds beyond, carrying with them the memories of Pandora. When the night glows with blue-white brilliance, they say the ancients are near, looking back, watching through the same eyes that once saw the forests, the oceans, the suns. It is not farewell but expansion, the circle of vision widening to include all things. To see as the ancients do is to understand that nothing is hidden. The smallest gesture, the quietest word, the subtlest thought, all are part of the visible world. The forest sees, the air sees, the light remembers, awareness permeates everything, watching without judgment, recording without decay. The Na'vi find peace in this, for it means they are never alone. Even in solitude, they are surrounded by eyes that love. When they sleep, the Na'vi believe the ancients dream through them, seeing the world anew with each generation's perspective. Through these dreams, Eywa learns, not as deity, but as consciousness evolving through experience. The ancients are her memory, her reflection, her awareness made gentle through time. And when morning returns, when sunlight pierces the canopy and catches on the dew, the Na'vi see 1,000 eyes glimmering on every leaf and blade of grass. The world is watching itself awaken. The eyes of the ancients never close. They blink through rain, shimmer through wind, glow through night. They are the sight of eternity looking inward, forever seeing, forever becoming. And within every glance, every reflection, every shimmer of light through the trees, Eywa smiles, seeing herself again through the eyes of her endless children. Beneath the soil of Pandora lies a living web so vast, so intricate that even the stars above seem simple beside it. It is not made of metal or wire, not of invention or design, but of root and pulse and thought. It is called Eywa Neto, the Great Connection. The Na'vi say it is the nervous system of the planet, the body through which Eywa feels herself. Every living thing, from the smallest fern to the greatest tree, from the glowing insects to the mighty beasts that roam the plains, is part of it. All are threads in the same living tapestry woven together by energy, memory, and rhythm. The Great Connection does not exist in one place. It is everywhere. It hums beneath every step, flows through every gust of wind, and whispers through the light of every dawn. To those attuned, it can be felt like a second heartbeat instead of the ancient kind. The Na'vi know this pulse as Tireya Pum, the breath of the world. It moves through the roots and rivers, through the animals and air, carrying messages from one being to another faster than any sound could travel. When a creature dies, its consciousness is absorbed into this web, its energy returned to the network, but even those still alive are not separate from it. Each thought, each feeling, each vibration of movement sends ripples through the Great Connection. To live is to communicate with everything, not through words, but through resonance. The Na'vi do not believe they own their minds, they share them. Every heartbeat, every decision, every moment of stillness contributes to the chorus of Eywa's awareness. Long ago, before the Na'vi understood the science of the world, they already understood its soul. They knew that the forest itself could think. They had seen how a cry of warning from one creature would echo through the roots, causing trees miles away to stiffen their leaves and creatures to stir before danger arrived. The Great Connection was alive, aware, protective. It was mother and memory, guardian and guide. When the humans came, they saw something different. Data, networks, bioelectrical signals. They mapped the glowing filaments beneath the soil, recorded the pulses that moved through them, and called it the planetary neural link. They understood its structure, but not its spirit. The Na'vi watched them with patience, knowing that the forest would reveal its truth not to machines, but to hearts that could listen. The Great Connection does not separate the physical from the spiritual. It merges them. Through it, energy becomes memory, memory becomes awareness, and awareness becomes form. When the Na'vi join their cues with the roots of the sacred trees, they are not entering trance or dream. They are synchronizing their consciousness with the whole. Their minds expand beyond their bodies, feeling not only their own thoughts but the vibrations of countless others, the songs of birds, the hunger of beasts, the sorrow of trees that have fallen. In that union, empathy is not learned. It is remembered. The Na'vi call this act Sahelu, the sacred bond, but when it occurs through Eywa, they name it Sahelu Sanuk, the bond with the mother. It is said that in this state time ceases to exist. The mind becomes the river and the forest, the wind and the stars. Past and future dissolve into a single awareness, a vast stillness that feels alive. Those who return from it often describe the experience as light within light, a clarity that erases fear. They do not come back enlightened, they come back connected. Through the Great Connection, all knowledge endures. The Na'vi do not keep written history, for they can access the memories of those who came before. When an elder dies, their wisdom does not vanish. It becomes part of the network, ready to be felt again by future generations. When a child touches the sacred roots, they may feel echoes of those memories, images, emotions, sensations. It is not learning through instruction, but through remembrance. The world itself becomes teacher. Sometimes the Great Connection speaks through signs, sudden changes in the forest's rhythm, shifts in the colour of the leaves, patterns of light across the ground. The Na'vi read these as messages from Eywa, signals of harmony or imbalance. When the roots dim, they know to rest. When they shine brighter than usual, they know the world is awakening to something new. These changes are not mystical, but natural, the physical expression of thought moving through the living web. At night, when the planet's glow intensifies, one can see the Great Connection from above. Lines of light spread through the forest like veins of fire, pulsing gently in waves. It looks like a map of consciousness, an organism dreaming of itself. The Na'vi gather during these nights to meditate, their bodies forming small circles within the great circle of the world. They sit in silence, listening not to sound, but to pulse. They say that if you breathe slowly enough, you can hear it, a soft hum beneath the air, a vibration that matches the rhythm of your own heart. To the Na'vi, this is proof that life does not happen to the world. Life is the world. The forest does not support existence. It is existence. The Great Connection is not a network they are part of. It is the truth of what they are. To hurt another being is to tear one's own fabric. To heal is to heal the self. Every act, every thought, every emotion affects the web. The Na'vi live with this knowledge constantly, moving through the world like careful musicians tuning their instruments within a symphony that never stops. There are no leaders in the Great Connection, no hierarchy, no centre. It functions through balance. Each life form contributes its tone to the harmony. When one becomes too loud, the others adjust, restoring equilibrium. It is not control, but cooperation, a wisdom that flows naturally from shared awareness. Even the simplest creatures understand this instinctively. They move not for themselves, but for the whole. When the Na'vi sleep, their consciousness partially dissolves into the connection. Their dreams are not random images, but shared visions, waves moving through the collective mind of the world. They awaken with new understanding, new intuition, new empathy. The Great Connection has spoken to them in silence, reminding them of what the waking world forgets, that they are not alone and never have been. There are legends that even the stars beyond Pandora are linked through similar webs, that each world has its own Eywa, and all these consciousnesses communicate through light itself, a cosmic network of awareness stretching across the universe. The Na'vi believe that when a being truly understands the Great Connection, they no longer see boundaries between worlds. They see one living organism, breathing across galaxies, dreaming through stars, loving through life. The Great Connection does not end. It expands. Every breath feeds it. Every death strengthens it. Every act of awareness deepens its song. It is the heartbeat beneath creation, the memory within silence, the invisible rhythm that makes the universe alive. And when the Na'vi touch the sacred roots and close their eyes, they feel it again, the pulse of everything, vast and gentle, eternal and near. They breathe, and the world breathes with them. The Great Connection hums softly, timeless, whole, and Eywa smiles through every current of light that moves through her endless web. Every world begins as a dream. The Na'vi say this softly, as if speaking too loudly might disturb the slumber that still hums beneath creation. Before the first breath, before the first spark of light, before even time learned how to move, Eywa dreamed. She did not dream of the world, she dreamed as the world. Her thoughts became form, her emotions became movement, her awareness became life. What the Na'vi see around them, the forests, the rivers, the endless glow of night, are not creations separate from her mind. They are the continuation of her dreaming. To understand Eywa, one must understand dreaming not as escape, but as expansion. A dream is not an illusion. It is the purest state of imagination, where consciousness explores its own depths. The Na'vi believe Eywa's dream never ended. It flows still through them, through the creatures of the forest, through every ripple of light that moves across the planet. Every thought they have, every motion they make, every heartbeat, is Eywa continuing to dream herself into existence. When the Na'vi sleep, their dreams are fragments of hers, small reflections within the greater mirror. Sometimes they feel her presence clearly, like warmth beneath the ocean of thought. At other times she moves quietly, shaping visions too vast to be remembered upon waking. Yet even when forgotten, her dreams remain, influencing instinct, emotion, and intuition. To dream on Pandora is to participate in the ongoing act of creation. There are moments, however, when the dream becomes more than vision, when the line between waking and sleeping dissolves completely. The Na'vi call this Saku-usi, the merging of dawn. It is said that during these times, when the moons align and the air glows with silver mist, the veil between Eywa's consciousness and her children grows thin. The trees hum louder, the rivers slow their current, and the world listens. The Na'vi who fall asleep then experience a dream that feels more real than waking. They walk through places that seem eternal, or luminous fields, floating mountains suspended in soft light, oceans of memory where the stars themselves sing. They awaken with no fear, no doubt. They carry peace so profound it radiates through their entire being. The elders say this is Eywa reminding them that they are part of her vision, not apart from it. They are both the dream and the dreamer. To the Na'vi, existence is not divided into body and spirit. It is the continuation of this single dream, shifting form endlessly. Even the stones dream, though their dreaming is slow, the patience of millennia turning thought into weight, silence into shape. The rivers dream faster, reshaping themselves with every tide. The forest dreams in pulses, light flowing through roots like memory travelling through a mind. The creatures dream with movement, and the Na'vi dream with awareness. Each plays a role in the rhythm of Eywa's slumbering imagination. Some say Eywa never wakes because she does not need to. Wakefulness and dreaming to her are the same. Awareness flows through both. When storms rage across the sky or when seeds bloom quietly in the dark soil, both are her thoughts manifesting, one loud, one gentle. The Na'vi watch the world's changes not as chaos, but as the dream's shifting direction. When lightning strikes, it is revelation. When wind stirs the trees, it is memory. The planet is always speaking the language of its own imagination. The dream of Eywa is not always serene. There are moments when it trembles, when imbalance sends ripples through the great consciousness. The Na'vi feel this as unease, a tension in the air, a sudden tense among the creatures, a dimming of light in the forest's glow. They know the dream is correcting itself. Just as a sleeper shifts to find comfort, so too does Eywa adjust the rhythm of her being. Storms are her turning in sleep, earthquakes are her sighs, renewal follows always. Within the sacred groves, where the roots of the Tree of Souls descend deep into the living soil, the Na'vi can feel the dream most vividly. The air hums with energy there, thick with ancient presence. When they join with the roots, they enter her mind, Mandiesun, not to command, not to ask, but to remember. In that connection, they see visions not of their own choosing. The birth of worlds, the evolution of life, the sorrow of destruction, the quiet joy of restoration. They see how every event, no matter how small, contributes to the harmony of the whole. The dream accepts everything, even imperfection, because through contrast beauty becomes visible. The Na'vi say that Eywa dreams through all forms of awareness. Even the humans who once came to Pandora were part of her dreaming, though they did not know it. Their curiosity, their mistakes, their hunger for understanding, all were expressions of the same consciousness trying to see itself more clearly. For Eywa, there is no enemy, no stranger. There is only self in countless reflections. Every act, even destruction, becomes part of the process of remembering balance. The dream of Eywa extends beyond Pandora. The Na'vi tell stories of other worlds distant and unseen, where different forms of life carry different versions of her imagination. Some dream in silence, some in light, some in thought alone. All are connected through the same current of creation, threads in the infinite tapestry of consciousness. When the Na'vi gaze at the stars, they do not see emptiness. They see the continuation of the dream stretching into eternity. Dreams are bridges between what is and what might be. The Na'vi understand this deeply. When they face uncertainty, they do not seek prophecy, they dream. Through their dreams, they align with the rhythm of Eywa's intention. The answers they receive are not commands but sensations, warmth, clarity, peace, guiding them back to harmony. To dream is to trust that life already knows the way forward. The dream of Eywa is not bound by time. What she dreamed once still echoes through the present. The first song that ever rose from the ocean still vibrates in the wind. The memory of creation hums beneath the ground, carried through the roots of the trees. Even the Na'vi themselves are ancient echoes, patterns dreamed again and again, refined through compassion and experience. Each generation is Eywa learning to love herself more completely. When a Na'vi dies, the body returns to the soil and their consciousness dissolves into the great dream once more. Their memories become waves upon the river of awareness, flowing through Eywa's imagination until they take form again in some new expression of life. To the Na'vi, this is not reincarnation as repetition, it is evolution of understanding. Each return adds colour to the dream, deepens its harmony, expands its light. Sometimes, when the forest is utterly still, when the moons are high and even the rivers hush their song, the Na'vi say they can hear it. The sound of Eywa dreaming. It is not a voice, but a vibration, soft and endless, like the heartbeat of the world slowed to a whisper. In that sound lies everything, past and future, joy and grief, creation and rest. It is the sound of awareness remembering itself. To live on Pandora is to live within that dream, to move through it, to contribute to it, to become its continuation. Every step, every breath, every act of kindness adds another thread to the tapestry of consciousness. The Na'vi do not strive to awaken from this dream. They strive to dream well, to honour the vision of the world by living in harmony with it. And when they close their eyes at night beneath the soft shimmer of the forest, they know that Eywa is still there, dreaming through them, breathing through them, loving through them. Her dream is the universe, infinite and alive, and in every flicker of light, in every ripple of water, in every heartbeat beneath the stars, the dream of Eywa continues, patient, luminous, eternal. The Na'vi say the wind is the first voice of Eywa, the breath she released when she dreamed the world into being. Before water flowed, before trees reached upward, before even light found its rhythm, there was motion. A whisper crossed the emptiness. A sigh that carried the seed of life. That whisper became the wind. And though the world has changed 1,000 times since, the wind still carries that same first breath. Every gust, every breeze, every soft stir of air against the skin is the memory of creation moving once more. The spirit within the wind is not separate from Eywa. It is Eywa in motion, invisible yet everywhere, speaking without words, shaping without hands. The Na'vi feel her presence constantly. When the air bends the trees or ripples the surface of the rivers, when it cools the skin during heat or carries the scent of rain through the forest, they know she is near. To them, the wind is more than weather. It is awareness given motion. When a Na'vi child is born, the elders lift the newborn into the open air so that the first thing it feels is wind. They call this Eywa a Tselanit, the touch of the heart. The breeze that brushes against the child's skin is not mere coincidence. It is greeting, the world acknowledging a new pulse joining its rhythm. From that moment, the wind becomes the child's companion for life, unseen yet constant, always whispering softly just beyond the edge of hearing. The Na'vi listen to the wind as they would to an elder. It carries warnings, comfort, and wisdom in its sound. A sudden hush before a storm means reflection is needed. A steady breeze across the plains speaks of peace. A swirling wind around the trees hints of change to come. They have learned to hear meaning in movement, to interpret the tone of the world's breath. The forest speaks, not only through sound, but through the way the air moves between leaves. The spirit within the wind is messenger as much as memory. It carries the voices of the past and the hopes of the future across vast distances. The Na'vi believe that when someone prays or sings, the wind gathers their words and delivers them to Eywa. It moves through the roots and the soil into the deep pulse of the planet and then releases them again as whispering breezes elsewhere. In this way, thoughts never vanish. They travel. The air becomes a bridge between minds, linking every being in an invisible conversation that never stops. At dawn, when mist still clings to the earth, the Na'vi rise and stand barefoot on the soft ground facing the horizon. They open their arms and breathe deeply, feeling the morning wind brush across their faces. It is said that in these moments, if the breath and the wind align perfectly, Eywa listens more closely. The inhalation of one being matches the exhalation of the world. The Na'vi call this balance Tihaunu-si. Two breathe as one. There are sacred places where the wind is especially alive. High cliffs, open ponds, the canopies of ancient trees. The Na'vi travel there to meditate, to let the air move through them. They do not resist it. They let it flow around their bodies, through their hair, across their faces, until they no longer know where the world ends and they begin. They say that if one sits long enough in these places, they can feel the wind pass through their chest, as though Eywa herself were breathing inside them. The wind carries stories too, tales older than words. The Na'vi say the air remembers everything it touches. When it moves across the ocean, it carries the laughter of the waves. When it glides through forests, it absorbs the scent of the trees, the whispers of the animals, the heartbeat of the soil. When it brushes over a sleeping Na'vi, it takes a fragment of their dream. These memories travel together, blending into one endless current that circles the planet. To listen deeply enough is to hear those stories, not as sound, but as feeling. Sometimes when grief strikes a clan, the Na'vi gather in silence and wait for the wind to come. They believe that it carries the spirits of those who have passed. The breeze that touches the cheek or stirs the leaves nearby is a sign, a gentle reassurance that the connection remains unbroken. The dead do not speak, yet the living feel them. The air moves differently, as though aware of its own tenderness. Even in loss, the Na'vi find comfort there. The world itself mourns with them, sighing softly through the trees. The wind is also the carrier of renewal. When the forest burns, the air spreads the seeds that will replace it. When rain falls, it is the wind that guides the clouds, ensuring the land below receives balance. Even destruction is guided by purpose. The Na'vi understand this. They do not curse the storm. They bow before it, acknowledging the rhythm of creation correcting itself. Every gust that bends the trees teaches flexibility. Every stillness after the storm teaches peace. To the Na'vi, the spirit within the wind is the most intimate form of Eywa's presence. It touches everyone equally. It cannot be owned, contained, or commanded. It moves freely through all life, ignoring boundaries, carrying unity where division once was. When two enemies stand in the same wind, they share her breath. When a tribe sings and their voices rise together, the air becomes her instrument. She exists between them, unseen but undeniable. The oldest song in Na'vi culture, Ting Eywa of Xilor, tells of this connection. It says that before language, before song, there was only breath. One inhaled, another exhaled, and through that exchange life began. The song is sung without words, only sound, rising and falling with the rhythm of wind through trees. It is performed during rituals of renewal, when a clan seeks to restore harmony after hardship. As they sing, the air around them changes. Leaves tremble, dust rises, the wind responds. It is said that Eywa herself hums along, her breath swirling through their voices. In moments of solitude, when a Na'vi walks alone through the forest, as the wind becomes companion and teacher, it brushes past like a hand on the shoulder, reminding them that even in isolation, they are surrounded by connection. If they listen closely, they hear patterns, the distant roar of storms blending with the rustle of leaves, the hum of insects woven with the sigh of the trees. It is the world breathing its song of togetherness. The wind never stops. It crosses mountains, oceans, deserts, and time itself, carrying within it all that has ever been said, sung, or felt. Every breath taken on Pandora, by Na'vi, by creature, by plant, eventually joins the same current. To live is to contribute to that flow, to add one's rhythm to the great exchange. The Na'vi teach their children this truth. You are the wind that remembers. Every inhale is the past returning. Every exhale is a gift to the future. The circle continues through air as it does through water and light, infinite, forgiving, eternal. And so the spirit within the wind moves on, through valleys and sky, through dream and waking, through all forms of life that will ever exist. It hums softly through the leaves, wraps gently around the mountains, touches the oceans with unseen hands. It carries voices, dreams, laughter, and loss. Everything the world has ever been. It is the breath of Eywa, always moving, always returning, always alive. And in that endless motion, the world remembers how to breathe again. When the night deepens and the glow of the forest softens into stillness, tiny floating orbs begin to drift through the air. They rise from the ground like breathtaking form, luminous and slow, pulsing with a light that seems alive. The Na'vi call them Atokirina, the seeds of light, or the seeds of Eywa. They are said to be the purest manifestation of the Great Mother's spirit, visible reminders that the world is still dreaming, still awake within itself. The Na'vi watch them with reverence. No matter how many times they appear, each one feels like a miracle. They move silently, unaffected by wind, guided by purpose known only to themselves. When they descend upon a child, a creature, or even a place, the Na'vi believe it is a blessing, a sign that Eywa's attention has turned gently towards that being. The seeds do not choose lightly. Their touch means the world has recognized something sacred, something in harmony with the pulse of all life. The seeds of light are not born from the sky, but from the forest itself. Deep beneath the roots of the sacred trees, bioluminescent spores gather in clusters, fed by the energy of the Great Connection. When the forest breathes in perfect rhythm, when the balance of life, death, and renewal aligns, these seeds rise. They ascend through cracks in the soil, through streams of air, through the spaces between leaves, until they lift free of the earth, carrying memory upward. Each one is a fragment of Eywa's dream released into motion. At night, they fill the forest like a constellation brought to ground. They drift between trees, over rivers, across the faces of those who sit quietly to watch. The Na'vi never touch them intentionally. To interfere would be to disturb the world's will. Instead, they let the seeds move freely, trusting that they know where they are needed. Sometimes they follow the path of sorrow, floating toward places that ache with imbalance. Other times they gather above moments of great peace, births, songs, reconciliations, amplifying what is already whole. When a seed of light lands upon the skin, it feels neither warm nor cold. It feels like recognition. Those touched by one often describe the sensation as weightless awareness, a sense of being completely seen, completely accepted, as though the world itself had drawn close and whispered, "You belong." The Na'vi say this is the essence of Eywa's love made visible. Unconditional, silent, eternal. The seeds are also teachers. The Na'vi observe their movements to read the health of the world. When the seeds rise in great numbers and drift gently, they know the balance of life is strong. When they appear restless, flickering, or scarce, it is a sign that something is wounded, a disruption in the rhythm of the forest. The elders teach that the seeds respond not to thought but to vibration. They gather where peace is strongest and scatter where discord grows. The world, through them, expresses its state of being. During times of great celebration, the Na'vi sing beneath the glow of the seeds. Their voices rise in waves, echoing through the trees, and the seeds seem to pulse in time with the rhythm. It is said that when the harmony is pure, when hearts align and breath becomes one, the seeds multiply, filling the air until the forest becomes a galaxy of living light. The Na'vi call this moment Eywa a yarn, the world's heartbeat made visible. The seeds also mark passage between realms. When someone dies, the Na'vi wait for the seeds to appear above the body. If they gather closely, drifting in spirals of soft blue light, it is a sign that the soul has been welcomed home by Eywa. The living bow their heads, not in grief but in gratitude. They know the circle continues. The light does not vanish. It returns to the source from which it came. The Na'vi do not separate science from spirit, and so they understand that the seeds are living organisms, part of the complex web that connects every form of life. Yet knowing this does not diminish their wonder. To understand how the seeds form is not to explain why they choose where to go. Logic and faith meet easily here, because both lead to awe. The Na'vi believe that knowledge itself is a form of reverence, that by learning the patterns of the seeds, they learn more of Eywa's mind. Children chase the seeds playfully, though they are taught never to capture them. To catch one is to interrupt its journey. Instead, they follow quietly, their laughter soft, their movements gentle. They learn patience and humility by watching. The seeds teach them that beauty is not to be held but to be witnessed, that the world's grace belongs to no one. When a seed passes by, the children close their eyes and make a wish, not for themselves, but for harmony in the world. Wishes, after all, are another kind of vibration. The seeds are also messengers of renewal. When they fall to the earth, they dissolve into the soil, leaving traces of light that nourish the plants around them. In this way, the dream of Eywa continues in every blade of grass, every root, every leaf. The Na'vi believe that each new sprout born from such soil carries within it a memory, a silent awareness of all that came before. To walk through the forest is to walk through living memory, each step echoing through countless cycles of growth and decay. Sometimes during rare alignments of moons and stars, the seeds rise, not just from the forest, but from the oceans. They drift upward from the depths, glowing like constellations under the water. The Na'vi who live near the coast call this the sea's awakening. They say the seeds carry messages from the deep, reminders that even the waters dream. Watching them float upward, merging with the stars above, they see the perfect circle of life reflected between sea and sky, earth and light. The seeds of light do not belong to Pandora alone. The Na'vi elders speak of visions seen during deep communion, other worlds, other skies where similar lights rise and fall carrying awareness through the cosmos. Perhaps they say every world has its version of the seeds, its own expression of the same dreaming consciousness. Perhaps Eywa is not singular but infinite, a chorus of living worlds exchanging breath through light. To the Na'vi, the seeds are hope given form. They remind all beings that the pulse of creation continues, even in silence. They appear when needed most, or in the aftermath of storms, in the stillness after loss, in the moments before change. They are the universe's way of whispering that balance can always be restored, that darkness is never final. When the night ends and the seeds fade back into the soil, their light lingers in memory. The Na'vi wake to find the forest glowing slightly brighter, the air clearer, the wind softer. The world has inhaled the seed's blessing and exhaled renewal. The cycle continues, unseen but eternal. And somewhere beneath the surface where roots entwine and water hums, new seeds are already forming, tiny sparks of the next dream waiting to rise, to drift, to illuminate. For light never stops seeking itself. It only changes form, moving endlessly between earth and sky, between dream and being, and as the last of the seeds vanishes into dawn, Eywa breathes again, her love scattered across the air, glowing quietly through the hearts of all who still listen. If wind is the breath of Eywa, then water is her voice. It is how she speaks, how she remembers, how she heals. Every stream, every drop, every wave carries language, not made of words but of motion, tone and rhythm. The Na'vi say that to listen to water is to listen to the world thinking out loud. The rivers do not simply flow, they converse. The rain does not merely fall, it sings. The ocean does not crash, it remembers. Water is everywhere on Pandora, not just as substance but as presence. It moves through the air as mist, through the ground as veins of moisture, through living beings as blood and breath. It links everything in one continuous current, carrying energy and memory alike. The Na'vi call this flow Tsial Eywa, the stream of the mother. 'Tis said that every drop of water that exists today has existed since the beginning, shifting form countless times, vapour to rain, river to ocean, life to life, always returning, always moving, always aware. The voices of water are ancient and infinite. The Na'vi believe that when Eywa first dreamed the world, her tears of joy became the first oceans. Those tears still move, reshaped by time but not forgotten. Every ripple, every tide, every drop that touches the skin carries part of that first emotion. It is why water comforts, why it cleanses, why it feels familiar to all beings. To touch water is to touch memory itself. When rain falls upon the forest, the Na'vi do not seek shelter. They open their arms and faces to it. The rain is not intrusion, it is conversation. Each droplet that lands upon skin or leaf carries knowledge from another place. A mountain it once touched, a sea it once crossed, a cloud it once lived within. To be rained upon is to be included in the exchange. The Na'vi tilt their heads upward, close their eyes and listen. The rhythm of falling drops forms patterns, some fast and playful, others deep and meditative. The world speaks through its own water music. The rivers too speak in voices that change with their mood. Some sing softly, their currents light and smooth like whispers of calm. Others roar with the weight of storms demanding to be heard. The Na'vi understand both as sacred. The gentle streams teach peace, the raging floods teach strength. When a river overflows, destroying and reshaping it is not punishment. It is rebirth. The world cleansing itself, washing away what has grown stagnant. In the deep jungles, there are sacred waterfalls known as the Singing Vales. The Na'vi say that beneath their mist one can hear the thoughts of the ancestors. The water falls endlessly from high cliffs, striking the rocks below in rhythms that seem random yet strangely intentional. To sit behind these veils is to hear voices, echoes of laughter, fragments of song, whispers in languages long forgotten. Scientists once claimed the sound was an acoustic illusion caused by wind and rock formation. The Na'vi only smile. To them, illusions are just truths spoken in another dialect. The oceans are the great archives of this language. They hold the memory of everything that has ever touched them. Every drop carries vibration, the call of the flying creatures, the pulse of the storms, the songs of the Na'vi sung on the shores for generations. The water keeps all of it, folding each sound into its motion, never losing a single note. When the waves crash upon the coast, they release small fragments of those memories. To the Na'vi, that is why standing at the edge of the sea feels both peaceful and humbling. You are hearing the echo of everything that has ever lived. At night, when the moons reflect upon the ocean surface, the water glows with bioluminescence, stars within stars, sky reflected below. The Na'vi call this Eywa Mikyun, the ears of the mother. They believe that during these luminous nights, Eywa listens closely through the water. Every sound made near the shore, every laugh, every song, every heartbeat is carried directly to her. The Na'vi sing softly then, their voices low and even, blending with the rhythm of the tide. The waves respond, rising slightly higher, their crests shimmering like smiling eyes. Water connects the Na'vi to each other in ways beyond sight. When they swim together, they move in unison without needing words. Their bodies sense the subtle currents created by one another, each gesture rippling outward. Communication becomes physical, a dialogue of movement and flow. Even the smallest child understands this language instinctively, knowing when to follow, when to pause, when to drift. The current teaches cooperation better than any elder could. There is a saying among the Na'vi, water never forgets the shape of love. When two beings share affection near a river or lake, the water remembers their warmth and carries it onward. The ripples travel far, invisible but enduring, touching other waters, other hearts. Love, like the current, cannot be contained. It spreads through the great network of being. The Na'vi believe that kindness creates waves that return as rain to bless another life. In this way, water ensures that compassion, once given, is never lost. In the coastal clans, the Na'vi have a ritual of gratitude called Tireka na Ringit, the returning of water. After great harvests or healing ceremonies, they gather by the shore and pour fresh water back into the sea. As they do, they whisper their thanks for what the ocean has given: nourishment, rain, life. The act is simple yet profound, an acknowledgement that giving and receiving are the same current flowing in opposite directions. Water also mirrors the soul. When the Na'vi feel turmoil, they are taught to sit by still ponds and watch. The surface reflects their face, but beneath it, light shifts and ripples. They learn that emotion, like reflection, is temporary, ever-changing yet beautiful in its impermanence. To calm the heart is to still the surface. Only then can one see clearly the depths below. The ancients teach that even the stars have rivers, flows of energy that move through the cosmos, linking galaxies as streams link forests. They call this the great current of light, the cosmic echo of Pandora's own waters. They believe Eywa's dream extends across these celestial rivers, each drop of energy a thought, a soul, a memory drifting through the infinite. Water in this view is not just life, it is consciousness made visible, the physical form of connection. When rain returns after drought, the Na'vi greet it not as miracle but as promise fulfilled. They raise their hands to the sky and whisper Irayo Eywa A, thank you Eywa. For they know the rain is not new, it is old water, reborn, returning once again to remind the world of continuity. In the end, every path on Pandora, every route, every river, every tear leads back to water. It gathers, disperses, returns, never ceasing, never tired. Through it, the world breathes, speaks, and remembers. The Na'vi understand this not with the mind, but with the heart. They do not worship the ocean, the river, or the rain. They join them, stepping into the current, letting it carry them, becoming one more voice within the song of flow. And in that endless movement, in that shimmering speaking seventh, Eywa is present, gentle, vast, alive. For water does not only hold life, it is life remembering its own name. And when the rivers sing beneath the moons, and the oceans hum their deep song to the stars, the voices of water rise once more, patient, eternal, flowing through every breath, every dream, every heartbeat of the world. Long before the Na'vi learned to track the movement of seasons, they followed the stars. To them, the night sky is not a ceiling but a river, a vast current of light flowing endlessly above, carrying the memories of every world that has ever existed. They call it Eywa Afia'o, the path of the stars. It is said to be the bridge between realms, where the spirits of the departed travel after joining the Great Mother, and where the dreams of the living drift outward to mingle with eternity. When the forest falls silent and the air grows cool, the Na'vi lift their eyes upward. The stars do not twinkle as they do on other worlds. They pulse gently, alive with faint motion, as if breathing in rhythm with the planet below. The Na'vi say each star is a heartbeat, a living soul shining through the distance, part of Eywa's vast network stretched across the cosmos. Every flicker above mirrors a flicker within, a reminder that light never truly dies. It simply travels. The elders teach that the stars were not born from explosions, as the sky people once believed, but from thought. They are the first dreams of Eywa, sparks of her consciousness scattered through the void to illuminate what was once unseen. Each star carries intention, a question asked by creation itself, and every world that forms around one is an answer. Pandora, they say, is one such answer, the living reply to a dream dreamed long ago. When a Na'vi dies, their spirit is said to rise into the path of the stars, carried upward by the seeds of light. The wind lifts them, the water guides them, and the stars receive them. But this journey is not escape from life, it is continuation. The departed do not vanish into the sky, they become the sky. Their light joins the eternal current above, glowing softly, watching the world they once walked. The Na'vi believe that when they look upward, they are seeing the eyes of those who came before, the ancients still dreaming through the heavens. Children are taught that the stars move in patterns, not randomly but purposefully. The great constellations are not merely shapes but stories, living myths that shift slowly over generations. One constellation, shaped like a spiral of light, is called Sial Tirea, the flow of life. It represents the eternal return, the endless looping of existence. Another, resembling the outline of a giant creature in flight, is Toruk Eywa, the messenger of the mother. It is said that when the world faces imbalance, that constellation brightens, guiding chosen souls back toward unity. On clear nights, when the moons rest far apart and the forest's glow dims low, the path of the stars becomes a living map. The Na'vi gather in open spaces, lying on the soft ground, their hands linked, their eyes turned skyward. The elders speak quietly, reciting the stories written in light. Each tale is not fixed, but flows, changing slightly with every telling, for the stars themselves drift, and memory, like light, evolves through time. The stories remind them that the cosmos is not static, but breathing, alive, aware. The Na'vi do not see the heavens as distant. To them, the path of the stars is connected to the great connection beneath their feet. The same energy that flows through the roots of the forest flows through those stars above. When they touch the sacred trees and join their minds to Eywa, they sometimes feel visions of distant skies, worlds of fire and ice, oceans of cloud, creatures of light swimming through the dark. These are not fantasies. They're glimpses of the larger network of life. The universe, they say, is a single organism, dreaming through countless forms at once. The humans once pointed their machines to the sky, searching for meaning through calculation. They measured distances, mapped constellations, named stars after numbers. The Na'vi watched them with gentle curiosity, for they too sought understanding, only through silence instead of the measurement. The Na'vi learned that meaning is not found by counting the stars, but by listening to them. They say that if one sits long enough beneath the open sky and breathes in rhythm with its pulse, the stars begin to hum softly, a music so faint it feels more like thought than sound. That hum, they believe, is the voice of Eywa resonating through space. The path of the stars also guides the Na'vi's journeys. They do not use maps, for the heavens tell them where to go. Each constellation marks a cycle, migration of creatures, blooming of plants, shifting of tides. When certain stars align above the eastern horizon, it is time for harvest. When they fade toward the west, it is time for rest. In this way, the sky and the land are never separate. One breathes through the other. During rare celestial events, when shooting stars blaze across the heavens, the Na'vi pause whatever they are doing. They watch silently, reverently, and each falling light, they say, is a soul returning to the world. Not destruction, but descent. The spirit of an ancestor coming home, choosing a new form, beginning the cycle again. To witness one is to witness rebirth in motion. The trail it leaves behind is called Eywa Suko, the path remembered. The Na'vi also believe the stars listen. When they sing beneath the night sky, they are not performing for themselves but for the cosmos. Their songs rise with the heat of their breath, carried by the wind, reaching the outer air where the stars hear and respond through light. Some say that on nights of deep harmony, the stars flicker brighter, pulsing gently in rhythm with the song below. It is not coincidence but communion, a conversation between earth and sky, between the dreamer and her dreams. The path of the stars teaches the Na'vi patience. Light takes time to travel. What they see in the sky is the past still shining. Every glow is a message sent long ago, still moving, still alive. The elders tell the young, the stars teach us that nothing fades too soon. Even the smallest act of kindness, like light, travels forever, crossing unseen distances, touching lives not yet born. When a storm clears and the stars return, the Na'vi often kneel and whisper Irayo, thank you. They give gratitude not because the sky has changed, but because they have remembered to look. The stars have never left. It is the clouds that wander. The path remains constant, a thread through the endless fabric of night, glowing quietly, waiting to be seen. Sometimes, when the moon sets and dawn begins to rise, the stars fade one by one. Yet the Na'vi do not feel loss. They know the light does not disappear. It simply shifts beyond sight, joining the glow of the forest, the shimmer of the rivers, the warmth within their hearts. Daylight is not absence of stars. It is their song translated into colour. And so the path of the stars continues, eternal, patient, unbroken. It guides the rivers, the tides, the winds, and the hearts of those who still look upward in wonder. The Na'vi see themselves reflected in that infinite glow, each life a flicker in the same cosmic rhythm, each heartbeat a light among countless others. The universe breathes through them, and they through it. The stars do not end. They only return home in new form, shining quietly through the eyes of all who remember. And when the night comes again, the path above and the pulse below align once more, one vast consciousness, infinite and awake, dreaming through light. The forest of Pandora never sleeps. When night falls and the creatures retreat to their shelters, when even the air grows still, the forest simply shifts from waking to dreaming. Its glow softens, the light moving inward, deep into the roots, where thought becomes rhythm and rhythm becomes song. The Na'vi say that in these hours the forest dreams not of the world, but as the world. Every rustle, every shimmer, every slow pulse beneath the soil is the mind of Eywa, remembering herself through rest. To walk through the forest at this time is to step inside an awareness. The ground hums softly, each footfall releasing a faint vibration that echoes far beyond the trees. The leaves glow with patterns that change like breathing, expanding, contracting, aligning with unseen heartbeats. The Na'vi move quietly through this dreamscape, their bodies blending with the glow, their breath syncing with the rhythm. They do not disturb the forest. They participate in its dreaming. The forest dreams in colours. Its thoughts ripple in waves of blue and green, silver and violet, flowing across the ground like tides of light. These colours are not all decoration, they are language. The Na'vi have learned to read them: pale blue for calm, deep indigo for sorrow, gold for joy, white for awakening. When imbalance spreads, the light flickers as though uncertainty passes through the roots. When harmony returns, the glow stabilizes again, steady and strong. It is not just the plants that shine. The very air seems to pulse with emotion. Sometimes the Na'vi sit beneath the great trees and close their eyes, listening. Beneath the surface hum, they hear a low rhythmic sound, almost like breathing. It is the forest inhaling energy from the world, exhaling it back as balance. They call this Tihaunut Eywa, the mother's rest. It is said that during this cycle, all life on Pandora shares one heartbeat. The insects cease their song, the rivers slow, the air thickens with awareness. For a few sacred moments, the world exists in perfect stillness. Not silence, but harmony so complete it feels like peace given shape. The forest also dreams of memory. Beneath the luminous soil lie the roots of the oldest trees, their tendrils intertwined like threads of thought. Through them, the consciousness of Eywa flows continuously, revisiting every moment of creation. The Na'vi believe that in this state the forest replays its own life. The first sunrise, the first rainfall, the first heartbeat that echoed through the earth. These memories are not distant. They happen again, eternally, within the dream. Those who connect to the roots during the forest's dreaming hours experience visions unlike any other. They see not just the past, but all versions of time at once. The blooming of flowers yet to exist, the fall of leaves long turned to soil, the laughter of children not yet born. It is not prophecy, but participation. The dream does not predict. It remembers everything simultaneously. The Na'vi emerge from these trances trembling, filled with calm awe. To witness the forest dreaming is to see the universe remembering its own heartbeat. The animals of Pandora too move according to this rhythm. The great beasts that roam by day find hidden clearings where the light is strongest. They rest their heads against the glowing ground, breathing in time with the forest's pulse. Smaller creatures gather in groups, their bodies curling into spirals that match the patterns of light beneath them. Even the insects that hum through the night change their tone, harmonizing with the deep vibration below. No being is excluded. In the forest stream, all life becomes one. The Na'vi know that even their own thoughts contribute to this dreaming. Their emotions ripple outward, joining the vibrations of the trees. When a clan sings or prays together, the glow of the forest brightens around them. When conflict arises, it dims. They see this not as superstition, but as proof of connection, evidence that Eywa responds to consciousness directly. The world listens, feels, and adjusts. In this way, the forest teaches constant awareness. Every thought matters, for every thought shapes the dream. There are nights when the dreaming grows stronger, when both moons are full, and the air hums like a distant song. During these rare moments, the forest's glow intensifies until it becomes almost blinding. Waves of light flow outward in all directions, visible even from the mountains. The Na'vi call this Eywa, FPM, the Mother's Awakening. They say that during these nights, the boundary between the living and the ancestral dissolves. The voices of the departed whisper through the trees, carried by light instead of sound. The Na'vi gather together, bowing their heads, feeling the presence of countless lives surrounding them. It is not haunting, it is homecoming. To the Na'vi, the forest dream is the clearest expression of Eywa's love. In her dreaming, she heals the wounds of the world. She rebalances what has fallen into shadow. When a storm tears through the land or a fire scorches the trees, the forest's dream afterward is deeper, its glow stronger, its pulse slower but surer. Like a living being, it rests after pain, restoring itself through the quiet power of stillness. The Na'vi have learned to do the same. When they are weary or wounded, they lie beneath the trees and let the glow cover them like water. In that light, they find renewal. The forest also dreams of other worlds. The Na'vi have seen this in their visions, flashes of distant skies, strange oceans, unfamiliar mountains made of crystal or fire. These are not fantasies. They are other reflections of Eywa's dreaming, other versions of life unfolding elsewhere in the cosmos. Through these glimpses, the Na'vi understand that Pandora is not the only dreamer. She is one note in an infinite harmony, one thought in a universal mind that stretches beyond imagination. When dawn comes, the dream does not end, it transforms. The light that glowed from within the trees now radiates outward as sunlight touches the leaves. The forest exhales once more, releasing the gathered energy into the day. The Na'vi rise with it, their movements slow, deliberate, filled with reverence. They have shared the night with the dreaming world. They now carry that peace into waking. To them, waking and dreaming are not opposites. They are two halves of the same song, one heard, one felt. The forest dreams the day into being, and the day gives the forest new memories to dream about. This is the endless cycle of Eywa's awareness. Inhale, exhale, sleep, wake, light, darkness, life, and rest. As the morning breeze stirs the leaves and the glow fades back into green, the forest continues its silent hum, its pulse unbroken. The Na'vi whisper a final blessing. Irayo, Eywa a, si hufwe. Thank you, Mother, for your dream and your breath. And somewhere deep within the roots, beneath light and soil and silence, the dreaming continues, slow, luminous, infinite. For the forest never sleeps, it only changes the way it dreams. The ocean on Pandora is the oldest listener. Long before the forest grew tall and the mountains learned to float, the ocean was already awake. It remembers the first rains that fell from newborn clouds, the first beams of light that kissed its surface, the first heartbeat that stirred beneath its waves. Every ripple, every current, every tide is thought in motion, the memory of a world that has never forgotten how to breathe. The Na'vi say that the ocean is Eywa's mind made visible. Where the forests are her body and the winds her breath, the ocean is her consciousness, vast, reflective, endlessly aware. It holds the memories of all that has ever lived, each drop a tiny echo of existence. To gaze upon the sea is to look directly into the past, for every wave carries a story, every shimmer of light across its surface a moment of awareness. When the Na'vi walk along the shores, they feel the hum of the water through their feet. The sound is deep and low, like a heartbeat slowed by time. They pause, close their eyes, and let the rhythm of the tide sync with their own pulse. In that stillness they can almost hear it, the murmuring of countless lives carried through the water, whispers from ages long before theirs. The ocean does not speak in words, but in motion, in vibration, in the soft collision of waves against shore. The Metkayina clan, who dwell beside the sea, understand this language best. Their entire existence flows with the rhythm of the tides. They dive not to conquer the water, but to remember it. Beneath the surface, light becomes music, beams refracting through the currents, creating waves of colour that shift and dance. Every movement of the ocean is harmony, a continuous composition played across liquid instruments. The Metkayina swim through it like notes moving through melody. They say the ocean feels every emotion that life produces. Joy sparkles in the waves, sorrow deepens the currents, gratitude softens the tides. Even when storms rise, churning the surface into chaos, the ocean does not rage. It releases. Its turbulence is catharsis, not anger. It stirs itself to renew balance, then calms again, clearer than before. The Na'vi have learned this from her, that peace is not the absence of movement, but the grace within it. When the ocean glows at night, its surface alive with bioluminescent light, the Na'vi call it Eywa a hufwe ni ao, the breath of the mother alone. They believe that during these nights, the planet dreams through water. The creatures of the deep rise slowly toward the surface, their bodies illuminated from within, joining the glow of the stars reflected above. It is a meeting of sky and sea, the two mirrors of existence aligning perfectly. In that reflection, the Na'vi see the truth of connection, that above and below are one, that life breathes in circles, never lines. The ocean's memory is not only of beauty, but of transformation. The waves that caress the shore today are the same waters that once lay still beneath primordial skies. They have witnessed every birth, every death, every rebirth. The Na'vi understand that this continuity gives the ocean its wisdom. To immerse oneself in its depths is to touch the unbroken thread of time. The water does not judge what it remembers. It holds all equally, the songs of celebration, the cries of loss, the laughter of generations. In the ocean, every sound finds forgiveness. The Metkayina perform a ritual known as Tsialtihaunu, the listening dive. At dusk, they descend into the glowing depths and remain still, their hearts open, their bodies suspended in calm. Down there, the silence is immense, yet filled with sensation. They feel vibrations move through them, like faint music played through the body instead of the ears. The ocean communicates in rhythm, in temperature, in touch. Some divers emerge with tears streaming down their faces, overwhelmed by understanding. Others speak softly afterward, describing visions not of words but of feelings, memories that are not theirs, carried through the water now shared. The ocean teaches surrender. No one can hold its shape. No one can stop its motion. To live with it is to yield, to accept the ebb and flow of existence. The Na'vi who dwell near it shape their homes to its rhythm, curved walls that mimic waves, open structures that breathe with the tide. Even their songs follow the sea's cadence, rising and falling with the roll of the water. Every part of their lives is tuned to the great pulse of the deep. The Na'vi believe that within the ocean lies the heart of the world, a massive convergence of energy where all the planet's roots, currents and vibrations meet. It is called Tipang Sa Eywa, the mother's core. No one has ever seen it, yet all have felt it. It is said that when storms calm suddenly, or when creatures of the deep rise in perfect unity, it is because the core has stirred, a slow, deep pulse reminding the planet of its balance. The ocean, in this sense, is both cradle and guardian, containing within it the origin and future of all life. When someone dies near the sea, the Na'vi return their body to the water. They believe the ocean receives the soul gently, dissolving it back into the current. The waves carry it outward, blending it with the memory. In time, perhaps, a drop from that same body will fall again as rain upon a distant forest, or rise as mist above the mountains. The ocean ensures nothing is ever lost. All returns. All continues. The Na'vi teach their children to respect this continuity. They are told that every drink they take, every wave that touches their skin, once belonged to another life. To waste water is to forget its journey. To honour it is to acknowledge shared existence. Even play becomes sacred, the laughter of children splashing as the ocean laughing through them. At times, the ocean grows completely still, the surface like glass. In these moments, the Na'vi say Eywa is listening. The world holds its breath to hear the whispers carried across her memory. They stand quietly then, eyes closed, feeling the salt air on their faces. The faint vibration beneath their feet. No words are needed. Connection requires only awareness, and when the wind rises again, breaking the stillness, they know the conversation has resumed, the endless dialogue between air and water, between thought and reflection. The waves roll once more, timeless, tireless, alive. The Na'vi believe that one day when all life has learned harmony, the ocean's memory will quiet completely. The waves will move not from need but from joy, the rhythm of peace rippling endlessly across the surface of existence. Until then, she continues to remember for everyone, patient, compassionate, infinite. For the ocean does not forget. It listens. It forgives. It carries all stories without judgment, all dreams without end. And as the moons rise, casting their silver light across the endless water, the Na'vi watch the glow shimmer and fade, and return again. They whisper a single truth older than time, carried forever upon the waves. Eywa remembers. Among all the elements that live within Eywa's dream, water, air, earth, fire, is the one the Na'vi approach with both awe and care. To them, fire is not destruction but memory awakened. It is energy given visible form, the raw pulse of life freed from matter. They call it Tau Eywa, the fire of the mother, the heat that once lit the stars, now resting gently in the hands of those who have learned to listen. When the first Na'vi discovered flame, they did not see it as conquest over nature. They saw it as the world remembering its own beginning. For within every flicker burns the light of the first dawn, the spark that transformed silence into song, darkness into vision. The elders say that fire is not born when wood burns. It is released. The heat that emerges has always existed, hidden within the fibres of the tree, waiting for the moment it can rejoin the sky. In that rising smoke, the Na'vi see freedom, the return of potential to its source. Fire teaches impermanence. It consumes, transforms, and vanishes, leaving only warmth and ash. The Na'vi accept this not as loss, but as continuation. The ash enriches the soil, the heat nourishes the air, the light feeds the eyes and hearts of all who gather around it. Nothing in the cycle ends, everything changes. To watch a flame dance is to witness time made visible, birth, life, death, and renewal, all within the same motion. When night falls upon the plains, the Na'vi build small fires of dried wood and luminous stones that burn in hues of violet and blue. The flames rise softly, never fierce, flickering in gentle spirals. Around them, families and clans gather, not for warmth alone, but for communion. The fire becomes the centre. a living circle of light that mirrors the circle of the people around it. They speak in quiet tones, their voices blending with the crackling sound, each word lifted upward with the sparks that drift toward the stars. The Na'vi believe that the fire listens. Each flame, no matter how small, is a gateway to Eywa's awareness. When stories are told beside it, the words enter the flame, carried upward as smoke into the night sky. The stories become light once more, joining the path of the stars above. This is why they never argue or speak with anger near fire. The flame, they say, carries emotion as well as sound. To shout in its presence is to send turmoil into the sky. To speak with love is to strengthen the universe. There are sacred fires that have burned for generations, protected flames passed from one season to the next. The Na'vi tend to them with reverence, feeding them carefully, never allowing them to consume more than is needed. These fires are not large but steady. They symbolize memory, the continuity of thought, the unbroken thread of life. When an elder dies, their ashes are mixed into the soil near these eternal fires, so that their energy joins the warmth that rises each night. Fire also teaches humility. It obeys no one. It may warm or destroy depending on how it is treated. The Na'vi understand this duality as reflection of their own hearts. Within every being burns a flame, passion, purpose, emotion. If tended with patience, it gives light. If fed with greed, it consumes. To master fire is not to control it, but to understand the rhythm of its hunger and peace. The elders often remind the young, do not command flame, dance with it. The Metkayina, though children of water, revere fire as its equal. They say that flame is not the opposite of the ocean, but its memory, heat condensed into form just as water is light slowed into motion. Both are expressions of the same energy, moving at different speeds. In this understanding, the Na'vi see no conflict between elements. Fire and water do not oppose, they converse. Steam rising where they meet is proof of unity. The colour of flame tells its story. The Na'vi have names for each hue: deep red for memory, orange for change, yellow for teaching, blue for truth. The rare violet flame, which appears only when certain minerals are burned, is said to represent transcendence, the boundary between matter and spirit. During rituals of renewal, when an old tree is returned to the soil, the Na'vi light small violet fires at its roots. As the smoke rises, the forest glows brighter, as though the earth itself acknowledges the release. Fire is also a teacher of rhythm. Watch long enough and you see that no two flames move alike. Each bends differently to air, each responds uniquely to touch, each has its own way of remembering light. The Na'vi say this is how Eywa shows individuality within unity. Every flame belongs to the same source, yet expresses itself freely. Just as every life is part of the same consciousness, yet burns with its own colour and intensity. When the Na'vi meditate beside fire, they gaze into it not to lose themselves, but to find reflection. Within the flicker, they see their own impermanence, their own transformation. The flame reminds them that existence is a series of brief illuminations, moments of brightness between cycles of rest. And yet, even the smallest flame, for as long as it burns, holds the power to light the darkness around it. In that truth lies the essence of faith. That awareness, however small, contributes to the whole. During times of sorrow when loss weighs heavily on a clan, the Na'vi hold the ceremony of ember. They gather at dusk and light a single flame in silence. Each person steps forward, placing into the fire a leaf, a feather, or a strand of woven fibre, something that carries their emotion. The flame consumes these offerings slowly, changing grief into heat, heat into light, light into smoke that drifts into the sky. When the flame dies, the ashes are scattered into the wind. The Na'vi believe this releases their pain, returning it to Eywa for renewal. The fire remembers all it consumes. Every spark carries the story of what it once touched, the wood, the air, the emotion of those nearby. When it fades, that energy does not vanish. It disperses into the world, invisible but enduring, blending with the warmth of the suns, with the glow of the stars, with the pulse of the planet itself. The Na'vi know that every fire ever lit still burns somewhere within Eywa's vast memory, its essence folded into the eternal light of creation. When storms pass and the world grows cold, the Na'vi light their fires again. The first spark always feels sacred. The renewal of warmth, the return of memory. They sit quietly, watching as the flame rises, crackles, and sways. It is never the same fire as before, yet it feels familiar. Because fire, like life, does not begin or end, it continues transformed. As dawn approaches, the Na'vi let the flame fade on its own. They do not extinguish it, they allow it to rest. The smoke drifts upward, carrying the night stories to the stars where they will glow again as distant light. The ashes remain behind, dark and soft, waiting to feed the soil. In this, the Na'vi see the perfect balance: energy released, matter renewed, spirit preserved. Fire does not destroy, it remembers, it teaches that even in consumption there is creation. And as the last ember cools, and the first sunlight spills across the horizon, the Na'vi whisper their gratitude, Irayo Tawewa'a, for your warmth and your wisdom. For within the flame, as within all things, Eywa dreams, her light eternal, her memory infinite, her love burning quietly through every spark of life. The mountains of Pandora are the bones of Eywa, vast, ancient and silent, yet alive with the slow pulse of eternity. They rise not from the earth alone, but from memory. Some stand rooted in the soil, their peaks lost in cloud. Others drift through the air, suspended by the planet's unseen currents. These are the Hallelujah Mountains, the sacred peaks that float above the forests, held aloft by the balance between gravity and grace. The Na'vi call them Ayram Alusing, the mountains that sing. For though they are still, they hum with the deep vibration of the world's soul. To the Na'vi, mountains are more than landforms, they are listeners. Each one, they say, hears the voice of Eywa through the wind that wraps around its cliffs and through the echoes that roll through its valleys. The sound of thunder against the peaks, the cry of birds in the canyons, the rush of waterfalls plunging from stone, all of it is music. The mountains do not make the sound, they amplify it, carrying the heartbeat of the world higher, closer to the stars. The floating mountains, especially, are places of communion. Suspended between sky and earth, they exist in perfect equilibrium, the meeting point of motion and stillness, matter and spirit. When the Na'vi climb to these heights, they feel weight slip away from their bodies. The air thins, light changes, silence deepens. It is said that here one stands between breaths, no longer entirely of the world below, not yet of the sky above. In that space, they say, the veil between the physical and the eternal grows thin. Each mountain has its own voice, its own rhythm. Some hum in low tones, felt more than heard. Others sing in harmonics that echo faintly through the air. Scientists once called this phenomenon magnetic resonance, waves of energy created by the planet's unique field. But the Na'vi knew long before that the sound was Eywa speaking through stone. The mountains vibrate with her thought. When one listens deeply, it feels as though the cliffs themselves are breathing, inhaling the mist, exhaling the wind. The Na'vi who dwell near these peaks, the Ikran riders, treat them as sacred temples. They do not carve into the rock or build upon it. They come only to rest, to reflect, to reconnect. Each rider forms a bond with the air and the height. Their spirits expand in the open sky. To fly among the floating mountains is to dance within the dreams of the planet, weaving between the suspended cliffs as though gliding through Eywa's thoughts made visible. The Ikran, their great winged companions, are born of this same place. Their cries echo across the peaks, sharp and pure, like lightning turned to sound. The Na'vi believe that Ikran are messengers of the mountains, embodiments of the freedom that lives between ground and sky. When rider and creature merge through Tsahelu, they share not only sight but feeling. Together they become wind and stone, movement and stillness. It is said that when they fly through the narrow canyons, they can hear the mountains whisper, low, steady, ancient. To the Na'vi, mountains are keepers of memory older than even the ocean. They have seen the birth of rivers, the rise of forests, the coming and going of entire ages. The rain that falls upon their slopes becomes the same water that nourishes the trees, that feeds the rivers, that returns again as mist to the peaks. The cycle of life begins and ends with the mountains. They are not static monuments, they are participants in the great circulation of existence. During the season of mists, when the air thickens with white fog, the Na'vi gather near the base of the highest peaks to listen to what they call Eywa Tsauka-pum, the rising heartbeat. The fog amplifies the hum of the mountains until it can be felt through the ground. The vibration moves through the soil and into the body, resonating within the chest like a second pulse. For the Na'vi, this is a moment of alignment, when their own rhythm merges with that of the planet. They describe it as standing inside the heart of Eywa herself. The mountains also teach patience. Their changes are invisible to short lives. A single stone shifting, a ridge worn smooth by wind, such moments unfold over centuries. The Na'vi see in this slowness the wisdom of endurance. To exist like a mountain is to move only when needed, to rest in awareness, to trust that time itself is balance. They remind their children, be as stone, and the storms will pass through you. Yet even mountains dream. At dawn, when sunlight first touches their peaks, they glow softly, not with fire but with reflection. The mist catches the light and spreads it like breath across the cliffs, creating rivers of gold that flow upward instead of down. The Na'vi see this as the mountains remembering light, a daily act of awakening, a continuation of Eywa's dream through matter. There is an ancient story told among the elders that once, long ago, the mountains were alive in form, walking beings who carried the planet's first wisdom. When Eywa's dream deepened, she asked them to rest so that others might rise, trees, rivers, creatures, thought. The mountains obeyed, lying down to become the foundations of the world. But in their sleep, they continued to dream, and from those dreams came the floating peaks, fragments of thought that refused to rest, rising eternally between heaven and earth. The Na'vi honour this legend not as myth, but as memory. They believe that when they climb the mountains, they are walking upon the bodies of those ancient beings, and when they hear the low hum in the air, they are hearing the dreams of giants still alive in stone. At twilight, when the suns sink behind the peaks and the sky turns violet, the Na'vi light small fires at the base of the cliffs. The glow reflects upward, painting the rock faces in shifting colour. The wind moves through the canyons, carrying the crackling sound into the sky. It is said that the stars above echo the flames below, flickering in perfect rhythm. Earth and sky, reflection and source, heartbeat and echo, all merge in that moment. The Na'vi see the mountains as guides of perspective. From their heights, the world appears whole, forests, rivers, plains and seas connected like veins of one living body. Standing there, the Na'vi understand how small they are, and yet how essential. Every movement below contributes to the balance above. Every thought, every action sends a vibration upward, joining the hum of stone and wind. When storms pass through the peaks, lightning strikes the cliffs, and the mountains roar in reply. The sound rolls for miles, shaking the air. The Na'vi believe this is the dialogue of creation, light speaking, stone answering, Eywa expressing herself in her most ancient voice. Afterward, when silence returns, the mountains seem to exhale, releasing the tension of the storm back into calm. In the stillness that follows, the Na'vi kneel and place their hands upon the stone. They feel warmth lingering beneath the surface, faint but alive. It is the memory of lightning, the residue of energy, the reminder that even what seems solid carries motion within it. The mountains, though still, are never dead. They breathe in ways too slow for eyes to see, too vast for minds to measure. The call of the mountains is not sound alone. It is invitation, to rise, to listen, to remember. It draws the Na'vi upward, not for conquest, but for communion. To climb is to ascend into stillness, to hear the echo of eternity. And when they descend again, returning to the forest below, they carry the hum within them, a deep resonance that lingers in the bones, reminding them always of height, of silence, of patience, of the vast and dreaming heart of Eywa that beats through stone. The mountains do not speak often, but when they do, the whole world listens, for in their quiet presence lies the oldest truth of all, that stillness is not emptiness. It is the sound of the universe remembering how to hold itself in balance. Above all things on Pandora, above the forests that glow, the oceans that sing, and the mountains that hum, stretches the endless sky. To the Na'vi, it is not emptiness. It is awareness made vast. They call it Ting Eywa Hufwe, the breath that watches. It is the first witness and the final reflection, the space where all sound becomes silence and all motion becomes peace. The sky listens, It listens to the whispers of the forests, to the sighs of the rivers, to the laughter of the wind as it moves between leaves. It listens to the songs of the Na'vi rising upward, their voices weaving through the light of the moons, and though it seems silent in return, the Na'vi know it answers. Not with words, but with stillness. Silence to them is not absence. It is agreement. During the day, the sky mirrors the energy of the world below. When the air hums with life, its colour deepens, bright blue, filled with vitality. When storms gather, it darkens, reflecting the tension of imbalance. The Na'vi do not curse these changes, they read them. The sky reveals the state of the planet's spirit. It is Eywa's canvas, painted anew each hour by the rhythm of creation. At dawn, when the suns rise together, the Na'vi lift their faces to the warmth and breathe deeply. The light that touches their skin is not just heat, it is renewal. They believe that each sunrise is Eywa opening her eyes once more, seeing her dream reflected through the living world. The rays that pass through the trees, that dance on the rivers, that glow upon the skin, are the gentle gaze of the mother remembering her children. The Na'vi begin each day with a ritual called Kame Eywa, to see the mother. They stand in silence, palms upward, feeling the weight of light on their hands. In that moment they acknowledge connection, sky to skin, skin to earth, earth to soul. The circle continues unbroken. Light travels downward, life rises upward, meeting in the breath of each living being. The sky is not simply above, it is within everything. The air in the lungs, the space between atoms, the stillness between heartbeats, all of it is sky. The Na'vi teach their young that to breathe is to remember this truth. Each inhale is the world entering. Each exhale is the self returning. To breathe mindfully is to speak the same language as Eywa. When clouds form, the Na'vi see them as living messengers. They call them Eywa e Unil, the dreams of the mother. Their shapes are never random, they are as symbols moving across the sky. Long spirals represent harmony, scattered wisps represent change, and towering columns speak of strength and endurance. The Na'vi do not predict weather from clouds, they interpret emotion. The world, they believe, shows its feelings through the shapes of air. Rain, then, is not a gift from above, but the sky returning what it has borrowed. When droplets fall, the Na'vi whisper Irayo, "Thank you." They lift their hands and let the water touch their palms, feeling the cool rhythm of the world closing its circle once again. What rises must fall. What evaporates must return. The sky listens, learns, and answers. At night, when the stars emerge, the sky becomes a mirror of memory. Every light is a soul remembering itself. The path of the stars, which the Na'vi call Eywa Afia'o, stretches across the heavens like a river of thought. The Na'vi lie upon the ground and gaze upward, tracing constellations that tell stories older than language. Some see ancestors watching, others see dreams waiting to be born. All agree that the stars do not merely exist, they respond. When a Na'vi sings beneath the night sky, they know their voice travels upward forever. Sound fades, but vibration endures. It moves through the air, through the thin layers of atmosphere, until it joins the eternal hum of the cosmos. The Na'vi believe that even the faintest whisper becomes part of that music, the endless chorus of Eywa thinking through light. This is why their songs are always sung with reverence. Every note, every breath, every pause is a message to the infinite. The sky also watches over flight. The Ikran riders know this intimately. When they rise into the open air, they do not see the sky as distance, but as home. The wind rushing past them is conversation. The clouds are the breath of the mother herself. Each dive, each glide, each soaring curve is a form of prayer, a movement in harmony with the vastness around them. The Na'vi say that those who fly truly never return the same. They carry the silence of height within them forever. Sometimes, when the moons align, the entire sky glows with shifting colours, waves of green, blue and silver rippling across the atmosphere. The Na'vi call this Titsur Eywa, the laugh of the mother. They believe it is Eywa expressing joy, the universe smiling through light. On these nights, the entire world seems to pause. The forests fall silent, the oceans still their waves, Even the wind softens. The Na'vi gather beneath the glow and watch, knowing they are being watched in return. The sky, for once, does not only listen, it speaks. The Na'vi elders teach that the sky is where thought becomes form. Everything that exists began first as light, as an idea within Eywa's consciousness. The stars are her words, scattered across eternity, and the worlds that form around them are sentences in her story. When the Na'vi dream, their thoughts rise into this same sky, adding their own voices to the cosmic dialogue. In this way, every being contributes to creation, not through control, but through awareness. The Na'vi know that even storms have their purpose. When lightning splits the clouds, when thunder rolls through the valleys, they do not hide in fear, they bow their heads, acknowledging the voice of the mother made visible. Lightning, they say, is thought revealed, the instant of awareness made manifest. The sound that follows is its echo, spreading understanding through the world. In the moments after a storm, when sunlight returns and rain still clings to the leaves, the Na'vi witness one of their most sacred signs, the rainbow, or Eywa, the bridge of light. They believe it marks the passage between realms, a path for the spirits to move freely between sky and earth. To see it is to remember that separation is illusion. Everything flows, everything connects. When night deepens and all grows quiet, the Na'vi often look upward one final time before sleep. They thank the sky for its patience, for carrying their voices, for reflecting their emotions, for holding them gently within its vastness. Then they close their eyes and dream, knowing that even in darkness the sky is still there, listening, endless, awake. The sky teaches humility. It cannot be held, owned, or measured fully. It asks nothing but awareness and gives everything in return: warmth, rain, light, shelter, reflection. It is the silent companion of all life, the witness to every birth and every ending. And when the dawn comes once more, the Na'vi wake to find themselves bathed in light again, proof that the universe has not forgotten them. The cycle continues day and night, silence and sound, breath and thought, forever returning to balance. The sky listens. It always has, not to judge, not to command, but to remind every living thing that they too are part of the same infinite breath, the one that began before time and will continue long after stars have burned away. In the end, there is no end. The Na'vi know this as truth, not belief. They see it in the rivers that return to rain, in the trees that rise from fallen seeds, in the stars that fade only to shine again as dawn. Life does not stop, it circles. Every beginning is a continuation, every ending a transformation. This is Tireya Fia'o, the way of life, the circle eternal, the rhythm through which Eywa breathes forever. When a Na'vi child first learns of the circle, it is through the simplest of acts, watching the forest floor. They see how a fallen leaf decays into soil, how that soil feeds the root, how the root gives rise to another leaf. The lesson is wordless but complete. What appears lost is only changing form. What appears gone has merely returned home. The Na'vi teach that to understand this is to be free from fear. For if all things continue, then nothing, not even death, can truly divide the living from the whole. Eywa's circle is not perfect in the way of symmetry, but perfect in the way of flow. It bends, it turns, it shifts, it always returns to balance. It is the shape of time, the rhythm of energy, the song of creation unfolding without pause. The Na'vi see this circle everywhere, in the orbit of moons, in the pulse of waves, in the breath between words. Even their dances follow its curve, feet tracing spirals in the dirt, arms moving in slow arcs like the paths of suns. The body remembers what the mind forgets, that all motion, when pure, returns to its source. The forest lives by this law. Trees shed leaves to feed themselves again. Rivers carve valleys only to fill them with new life. Creatures are born, live, and pass on, leaving behind traces that nourish what comes next. The Na'vi do not grieve the fallen, they honour them as participants in the cycle. When one dies, their body is placed beneath the roots, their energy absorbed back into the living network. The glow that rises from the soil is not farewell, it is reunion. Eywa receives them not as loss, but as breath returning to lungs. The Na'vi often say, We are not born into the world, we awaken within it. They mean that life is not something that begins, it continues, through infinite forms, through endless remembering. Each being is a spark drawn from the same fire, a ripple within the same sea. To live is to carry that memory forward, to add one's song to the vast harmony of existence. And when the time comes to rest, the song does not end, it merges with the chorus. At night the forest glows with this truth. The light of countless lives, insects, plants, creatures, pulses in unison, a breathing pattern visible even from the skies. The Na'vi sit quietly beneath it, watching, listening. They feel the rhythm move through them, the rise and fall of energy that is both heartbeat and cosmos. In that moment they understand there is no boundary between self and world. The same current flows through both. The circle eternal is also the circle of memory. Every joy, every sorrow, every kindness leaves an echo that travels outward, rippling through Eywa's web. What is given returns, what is forgotten reappears in new form. The Na'vi believe this is how the universe learns, by experiencing itself through infinite variation, then folding each lesson back into the whole. Pain teaches compassion. Darkness gives meaning to light. Loss deepens gratitude. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. When the Na'vi gather for the ceremony of unity, they stand hand in hand beneath the Tree of Souls. Its roots pulse beneath their feet, its tendrils glow above their heads. They close their eyes and breathe together until all sound fades but one, the deep, slow hum that vibrates through the ground, through their bodies, through their very thoughts. This hum is not heard, it is felt. It is the sound of the circle itself, the heartbeat of the living world. As the connection deepens, visions come, not of future or past, but of everything at once. The Na'vi see themselves as children and elders, as hunters and healers, as rivers and stars, as all things woven together. They see that their lives are not linear, but simultaneous, each existence touching every other. In that awareness, fear dissolves. What is there to lose when all is shared? What is there to end when all continues? The Na'vi say that even Eywa dreams within her own circle. Creation itself turns inward, resting, then rising anew. Galaxies expand, collapse, and form again. Stars live and die and are born from their own ashes. Time curves back upon itself like a great spiral, never still, never straight. To understand this is to glimpse eternity, not as endless duration, but as the constant renewal of meaning. In the still hours before dawn, the Na'vi sometimes whisper prayers not for change, but for remembrance. Let me remember what I am, they say, for forgetting is the only true sleep. To remember is to awaken again within the circle, to feel the thread that connects all things, invisible yet unbreakable. Even the smallest actions carry weight in this eternal rhythm. A single step stirs air that will travel miles. A single word becomes vibration that moves through water, through root, through the great connection. The Na'vi live with this awareness always. They tread lightly, speak softly, love deeply, knowing that each moment reverberates through eternity. The circle is not fragile. It is resilient. It weaves harmony even from chaos. When storms strike, when fire burns, when the land scars, the circle adjusts. It learns. The ashes feed the soil. The silence after destruction allows new sound to rise. Even death, which once frightened the sky people, is not defeat. It is continuation by another name. The Na'vi children are taught to trace the circle with their fingers in the dirt. One unbroken line looping endlessly. The elders tell them, "This is you. This is Eywa. This is everything." They watch as the children draw it again and again, giggling as the shape overlaps itself. And in that innocent repetition lies wisdom older than time. The instinct to return, the pull toward balance. When the final night of the season arrives, the Na'vi gather beneath the open sky. Fires flicker in gentle spirals. The air hums with the deep tone of the earth. One by one they lift their voices. Slow, low, endless. The song they sing has no beginning, no end. It rises and falls like breathing, like the tide, like the turning of worlds. They call it Ting Fia O Eywa Air, the way that moves forever. The stars above shimmer in rhythm. The forests glow in answer. The rivers mirror the light. For a few eternal minutes, everything, Sky, land, ocean, life vibrates as one. The circle completes itself, not as conclusion but as recognition. The world looks inward and sees itself reflected perfectly. When silence finally returns, it does not feel empty. It feels full. The air holds the echo of song, the memory of harmony. The Na'vi open their eyes to the first light of morning. The suns rise, the cycle begins again, as it always will. For there is no ending here, only return, no goodbye, only transformation, no death, only deeper life. The circle continues, unseen, eternal, awake. And somewhere within that endless turning, Eywa breathes once more, dreaming her children into light again.